9 times out of 10, the first 2 questions the builder's going to ask is, where's your basics and where's the engineering? Like, we're not going to give you a price. We can't possibly give you a good price unless we've got those two reports.
G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast about the construction industry and what you can expect. Whether you're a bright-eyed renovator, a budding developer, or a seasoned vet, we will dive into the construction world, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades. Be sure to tune in for all aspects. So let's get stuck into the next episode. G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of MTDC Lounge. You're here on the lounge today with Matt, and we've got Mitch again tonight. How are you, mate?
Yep, good. Ready to go.
Yeah, nice one. All right, so tonight let's go over quotes. What MT Design does for their quotes and how we look after our clients and ours, and kind of establish a good formula to kind of expect for design.
Yeah, I mean, because it's going to be the first thing that people are going to look at after a consult. And I think it's really important for everyone to know what's in a quote, what to expect in a quote, especially if you're comparing a few different people together. You want to know that you're comparing apples to apples. Absolutely,
it's huge. Absolutely. So when we're looking at quotes, particularly for renovations and new builds, and including everybody in that process, it's important for us to establish exactly what's going to go through that quote and how we go about it. And then it kind of morphs into how the builder would use our quotes and use everything that we do from our start to finish to establish, their quotes on how to build their place.
Yeah. So they've got to get involved at a certain stage, and what you want to know, especially with drafting quotes, designers' quotes, is what to expect, and also when you can get other consultants or builders and people involved as well, because you want to make sure that everything that you've got for the project, you've got from the beginning. It's going to see you all the way through to the end, but also that at what point you can start going, okay, I've got the plans to a certain degree at this stage. Let's go get the planners, the builders involved, really, whoever needs to continue working on that project to get it through.
Yeah, absolutely. And the benefit of making sure that you come and see a designer or an architect is to hopefully get a holistic approach to the entire design process. And it's going to be important when we're developing the designs that everything's being captured from the start, and the clients are completely aware, hopefully with a complete layout of the costs.
Yeah.
Going through the MT Design quotes, because that's what we know very well. Let's go through that process.
Yeah, well, I guess if the way that we do things, we want to make sure that each project is for, say, alteration, addition. Everything is going to get broken down into your 4 phases. You're going to have your site measure and your existing plans, concepts, which is the fun spot where everyone gets involved and get to iron out the concepts. The pre-submission plans, or the DA set of plans, they're the ones that are going to go into council for approval. And the last set of plans will be the certification plans. So they're the ones that will be built from, or the certifier will need to do the final sign-off and works can begin. So I guess those 4 phases, if you're looking for any quotes or anything like that, you want to see some type of description or something that has those 4 phases in there.
Those 4 phases need to have like certain things as well. Like, it's important for a lot of those information, or a lot of that information to come through as well. You said the certifying plans earlier. They're also known as construction plans. So they're the things that the builders will build from. And so we've got the pre-submission plans as well. So we label them a little bit differently because it covers both the DA application and the complying development application, because we can do both. It's just there's different information on both those plan sets. So the pre-submission plans covers a pre-CDC application or a DA application, and our certification plans cover the post-CDC application and the construction certificate, which they would need.
Yeah, that's right. Because if you're getting quotes and it's not covering the certification plans or the construction certificates, which we've seen before, they're going to be hidden costs that are hidden if they're not outlined in that first initial quote.
Or in the fine print just down there.
Oh yeah, exactly right. You want to make sure it's there, and importantly, if it's not there, it's definitely worth asking the question. Hey, once we've got DA approval, what plans are needed for the construction certificate? If they sort of say, "Oh, look, you do need them, but they're not in this quote," just ask why. Ask why and what they can expect. I think.
Yeah, well, what to expect is a very tricky question, isn't it? Because I mean, some teams charge percentages on construction. Some teams charge hourly to do them. It's such a variance, I guess, of costs between different firms and different teams to look after that, and it's important. I agree to establish. What are those costs, particularly after they go through this huge process between concept and through DA. So yeah, let's break down those 4 phases each one. So the first phase and the second phase is kind of my space, and then the third and fourth phase is your space, because you look after all the post DA and pre DA stuff, and I think that's a really great way to break it down. So I guess the first phase is the existing plans, the measures, and all the bits and pieces, which is great, and obviously the report. So we outline all of those reports at the start. So if the guys haven't purchased the reports already, we source those for them. We also include the survey, which I feel like almost every job needs now. And then from that, it gives the client, from our first phase, it gives them the reports that we need to do our design. It does the existing plan set that are to scale. I think we do it at 1 to 100, and then that also covers them for the first concept meeting as well.
Yeah, I think I suppose we could touch on the importance of having accurately drawn existing plans. One, so that you know what your space is really working with, but 2, you've then got an accurate set of plans to do your concepts on.
Yeah, absolutely. And when the guys are sitting in doing the concept meetings, it's easy to kind of have that conversation while you've got those 2 scale plans. Everyone's got a scale ruler. We can do the scribble. There's all the bits and pieces that we need to accurately draw a plan. There are countless times that we've had people in the concept meeting, and they say, "Hey, we want this room, we want that room," and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they see that plan, they see the existing plan, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, and it's just one of those things that we can work out then and there on the day for that concept. So with that first phase, it usually works. I'm pretty confident between the first day of meeting us and accepting the quote, and at the end of the first phase, people can usually expect to get their existing plans and their concept plans within that 3 weeks. About that. It's about right.
By the time the measure's done, existing plans are drawn, and then basically go straight into concepts. Like, let's get in the room, let's talk about them. Yeah. Well,
from that, I guess our second phase covers the full concepts. So I know we break our concept down into 4 changes, and the way we consider a change is anything over, I guess, an hour. Flipping toilets and changing windows and all the bits and pieces like that. That's neither here nor there. But things like full redesigns or full changes, anything that kind of counts, that makes us really work. I think we consider that as part of the 4 changes. We do have like an hourly rate past those 4 changes, but it's very rare that we've reached it.
Yeah, I find that because we're getting clients in and we're having those initial concept sketches based on those existing plans that are all to scale, you eliminate a lot of guesswork. And even then, after the first concept plans are drawn, coming in again and having a look, right, this from our first meeting, this is now where the concept's heading, the direction is heading. It's a lot easier to have that discussion when you go, this, from our last time we caught up, this is how we're heading. And now we can look at tweaking things like, what do you like about this concept? What don't you like? Are there ways that we can do things different as well? Because like you'd know as well as I, when we're drawing the concept, sometimes we'll have different ways of achieving the same results, or getting what the clients want in maybe a slightly different way. But I think the best way to go that is you can't tell. You've got to show, almost like you want to give the clients, this is as we spoke. This is how we spoke during the concepts, and this is how it's coming together. Here's one way that we can get this done. Or after we've had a bit of a look at your design brief, and here's something that's slightly different, maybe not exactly what you've asked for. But I definitely think having those two options is it's another launch pad to go into another meeting or another round of discussion around the concepts.
I think it's important to realize that while the clients do have, I guess, an idea of what they want for their designs, and we do everything in our power to give them their designs, sometimes it just doesn't work. But the first things first, we do give those concepts that they've asked for, and then we establish anything that might need to be done, or any compliance things, or anything that might be a little bit more comfortable. Now, the clients are obviously they don't have to go through those plans. It's absolutely not imperative that they use those plans. But at the end of the day, some clients just don't know what they can do with the space. We've had countless of people, in the office. We've just today, actually, I had a meeting today, and the client came out. She had an amazing design. She did a great job. But you had a few things that you had to pay attention to, like your northern aspects, your open living spaces, these things that, the rule 101 of designing a home. It just wasn't there. But she did a great job. We talked about how we could shuffle a bit of a space around, and then she loved that. And then it's on us then to take those plans back after we've had that discussion of these other options, to make those changes and then come back and present them. So it's something that they can enjoy as well.
Yeah, that's right. Like, you've got behind every concept, there's going to be a whole range of steps and things that we've arranged out while we're drawing the plans to get to that final step. So, and I mean, the biggest part of design, I think, is problem solving, getting from this is what we want to this is what it ends up being. There's going to be countless problems or ways to get around certain things as well. So,
well, we've got minimum distances. There's minimum distances. There's minimum construction rules. We've got to make sure that the hallways are important, doorways are right. Egresses are good. These are huge things that particularly that we have to pay attention to when we're doing those designs. Obviously, all the environmental factors as well. Wind, rain, sun, all that kind of stuff. We have to pay attention to that. Any good designer will be making sure that their sight lines, their view spaces, their parking areas, all of that kind of stuff are included. So I guess through that second phase, it's quite a large space, and I guess if we're going to put a time frame on it, concepts can take anywhere between, I guess, 2 weeks to pick your time. I mean, we've got guys that we've been working for 2.5 years with. We do a design, they love it, we change it, they want to tweak it, they want to add a few more. I get the same client today who did the meeting and did her own design. We've been working with her and her partner for about 1.5 years now. She loved the design and wanted to knock down her original house, but instead of that, she wanted to now keep the original house and then attach the new house to the original house. So it's great news for us because we get best of both worlds. But yeah, it's one of those things. We want to keep working with the clients to make sure that they have or get exactly what they want as an end result. It's good design practice to make sure that the clients are happy with the end result.
Yeah, and I mean, the big part of that too is going to come down to communication as well. Like, as long as it's a collaborative effort between the designer, between the client, and basically we're just got to try and guide that way. I find guide them towards what they initially wanted to get out of the project, and just showing them how it can be done. Sometimes it can happen in different ways, and it's there's input from both sides.
We can't always get it right 100%. all the time. It's happened rarely, but yeah, within a couple of times we can usually give it a crack. So, and another great thing I think we offer is after we do the concept meetings, if things aren't really kind of clicking, we offer like a Zoom meeting as well. I think that's a really massive, huge concept world edition. Having someone fly through or have like that real-time experience of walking through that edition or the renovation or the new build, they can actually see it, how it all works together.
I mean, we look at plans all the time, every day. For the everyday client out there, seeing something in 3D is so much more beneficial for them to visualize what is happening, the existing, the proposed, what can be done. Because you just don't get that same perspective if you're looking at the plans, and especially if you're not used to looking or drawing plans like we are.
Yeah, every day. So, and then we've also started seeing the emergence of like all the virtual reality stuff, the BIMX files, and the files that you can now chuck on your phone and walk around your space in like a 1-to-1 version and use the phone as the virtual reality goggles, I suppose, which is a really cool feature. So, these are all available options. So I guess after the concepts are done and they're all happy and they've signed off on their concepts, then comes the more drier logistical side, and that's the pre-sub space where it all starts to get right into the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So once you've so you cover off your first two phases. At that stage, generally the client's happy. They're happy to go ahead to lodgement, which is the good part. And that's also a stage where getting builders and things involved in the project, if they haven't already been involved, would be a good idea as well. But the pre-submission plans or the DA plans, that's basically where we put all the information on that the council require. We'll go through all their rules, show setbacks, heights, landscaping areas, anything that they need, basically to look at the plan and go, yep, this complies, or if it doesn't, help justify why we think it should still go through. I mean, that's going to evolve as well. So you'll generally find that you'll get a DA set of plans, and then the town planners will get involved. Once a town planner is involved, there might be a little bit more back and forth to basically get the application council ready. And that's when you get some of the other reports, the town plannings, the ARBS report if you need a bushfire report, a lot of these things that the council will ultimately need.
So this is so the DA quote space is quite a juicy one. So I know the MT Design plan sets for DA are roughly around that 19 page mark. So I guess running through the quote system and what we do as a service, we go and get all of the outside consultants together and build that quote for them to get all those reports that you've just mentioned. So I guess running quickly through them and like clear it up if I miss any. So we've got the statement of environmental effects that we can get via a planner, or if it's a nice and simple job, we can write it for them. But it's imperative that statement of environmental effects or the SOE is appropriately written, because if that's not written right and we submit it with a poorly written SOE, it could be the make or break point of...
Well, it might not even make it past the front desk.
Exactly.
Get rejected and saying, look, it's been refused. You need to do A, B, and C and try again.
A fruitful SOE is important with every DA application. So we've got the SOE there, and then we've got the waste management report, which basically is just a report to tell council how we're going to remove all the rubbish and all the bits and pieces like that. And then we've got the Hunter, well, in the Hunter Valley, you've got the Hunter Water reports. In Sydney, you've got I think it's called DRIP and things like that, Sydney Water. And then we've also got mine subsidence, particularly important in the Hunter Valley space, not so much everywhere else. And then we've got what else do we have? We've got
well, once that probably forms the basis of it, then you go into more of the site-specific one. So if it's in a bushfire area, if you haven't already got a bushfire report, you will need one at that stage. ARBS report if you're building close to trees on your block or
next door neighbours. Yeah.
And then moving down to things like the basics, whether it's a new build or alterations, additions, basics will be needed.
Basics is the energy efficiency rating for every house that needs to be done over $20,000 now, or $50,000. So after $50,000, they have to have this report to say that everything complies with a 7-star rating. Now I think that's only been out for a year, since last June or something, a couple of years. So that's made a huge impact on design, because that's now a requirement across the board, 7 stars, and that can be quite costly as well, particularly for a new build, and even more site specific for Lake Macquarie and a few Hunter Valley spaces, and I guess all the way down the coast, all the way through Sydney and all the bits and pieces at the Aboriginal heritage spaces as well. These are important for all the gathering areas. These are all the things that will be caught during that period of I guess that pre-assessment of the DA documentation, and I guess once we ascertain all of this information, we'll collate all of that and then and present it to a client. So I guess if you're going to throw down a price on all of that, that can get quite exy, can't it? Particularly if you're going through a DA. So I guess, and that's where, like we've spoken about it in previous episodes, when we say that $20,000 to $25,000 at least for an application, most of the cost is in that DA space, because those reports and those external consultants can cost $2,000 to $5,000 each. And I mean, if they're doing duplexes and townhouses and things like that, there's landscaping plans as well that kind of have to make it a part of those documentation. That documentation product. So that's how our plans in particular get to 20 pages long. And all of that information gets chucked onto the plans, and as a service, I know for MT Design we offer that project management. We can talk to the outside consultants, and they're usually the ones that we know, love and trust and use quite often. We can just talk to them and try and find the best result. And I think that's an important relationship that you have to have, or any designer has to have. They have to have that group of people that we kind of work with closely, so we can make sure that those plans come out as clean and as easy to read and as efficient, I guess, for each client and each design.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So we really want to be the one-stop shop. Like, we want to be able to help the clients and go, look, these are the documents that you need, and this is who we can get to get these documents. So ideally, clients are coming to us and saying, we want to go into council. We'll break down, these are things that you need. Basically, leave it to us, and we'll organise all these reports. Let them know what each report actually means in real world sense. And basically just manage that so that we can go into council.
Yeah, this is also the time that we also organise the engineering report too. So when they go and see the builder, 9 times out of 10, the first 2 questions the builder's going to ask is, where's your basics and where's the engineering? Like, we're not going to give you a price. We can't possibly give you a good price unless we've got those two reports, because the basics or the energy efficiency rating report are going to be the things that tell you if you're going to need double glazing. They're going to be the things that it's going to tell you if you need different insulation bats. How many fans are going to go in? Are you putting the air conditioning in? What kind of tiles? What kind of carpet? What kind of colors you got? It goes on and on and on and on. So they're both the 2 expensive reports and important reports for a builder to give you an accurate quote. So the engineering report seems to be quite standard. But I mean, if you've got a big span of more than 5.5 meters, and you've got brick on top of it, it's going to cost you a fortune in steel members and things like that. And I think again, it comes back to having those good relationships with the outside consultants to make sure that you're designing appropriately for both the client's expectation on price and for the builders to be aware of what they're pricing for.
Yeah, and I think it's important to get all of those items all completed or underway or preliminary done before we go into council as well, because we want to make sure that the builders have the chance to review it. The clients have a chance to talk to the builder and go, look, I need some quotes here. We're going to council. because that's the time that we can make adjustments. If the basics is coming back too heavy because we don't have enough northern-facing living rooms, or the engineering's coming back because it's too much of a cantilever to one side, or anything really. But the best time to change and adjust those things is before you go into council.
Because you definitely don't want to change it while you're in council. No. Because then you're paying for a DA mod or a development application modification. Once they get approved and they've made that payment, once they change it and change it enough, then a whole thing again, right? So you're looking after another basics run, you're looking after another engineering run, and then you've got to go back through the process of the development application, and it all costs more money. So it's so important that all of the design features and all the things that the client wants, the builder feels that is more cost effective or whatever have you, it's important that it's all in there before the application to the development application is done. Any designer or any architect can throw a number at it. Any builder that you ask would prefer that they didn't. So I know we give a range of a square meter rate, and that's just basically because we have the team of builders that we can talk to and kind of ask that question of how often or do they find that their prices are ranging in between this, and then if we kind of give them a large range. I know for renovations, we sit at that $3,600 to $4,700 a square meter for the single story. It gives them a good indication that at the end of the day, if they're going to be building 100 square meters, they can expect $370,000 to $470,000. So it's that range. There's $100,000 in it, and it's no small change, but it gives them an indication that they're not going to be spending $150,000 for an open plan living in a big deck out the back. So it's one of those things that I think it's really important to establish a good relationship with the builder, either at the end of the concept and just before the DA application, so everything gets done and gets put in there properly, and then it's also important to make sure that all of our information is correct on the plans for the DA. I know that a few designers put as little information on the DA plans as possible because you want to be as ambiguous to council as humanly possible. You don't want to lock yourself into something at the development application, because that's what you have to do. And if we give that to council and they approve that, then they're going to expect to see that. And I guess even if they have those small changes, and then all of a sudden the structure's not the same, you don't want to go all the way back to development application to change it, because that's going to be more expensive. All of those finer details, we get into the next phase, which is the construction certificate.
Yeah, so once we had the fun with council, we've waited the time, they've assessed it, they've approved it. You then go into your construction certificate or your certification plan stage. That's basically going to have the full set that is ready for the builder or the certifier to run with. With us at MT Design, in a lot of cases, that's the last set of plans that we'll do, and they'll see it through all the way to the end of construction. The important thing about the certification plans is making sure that we've got all the information there ready for the builder to go to. The biggest thing they'll ask is dimensions are going to be the first and foremost thing that the builders are going to be.
Dimensions everywhere. If you think there's enough dimensions, put a bit more on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough sections as well. Like you want to go through all of the important bits that the builders are going to be looking at. Anything to do with any rake ceilings, stairs in particular. You want to show all, especially to the certifier as well, making sure compliance is achieved with all your stairs and things like that as well.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we had a conversation with BuildCert only last week, one of our last episodes actually. Sorry, and one of the conversations that they brought up was the stairs. The amount of times that they get a stair case in at CC and the stairs are wrong and then become non-compliant and then causes a huge issue is countless. It's funny that you mentioned that, because it's one of the biggest things that they find that they have a problem with.
Yeah, so you need a set of plans that have the stairs. You want to see that it's been thought about, that the rise and run is being shown on the plans as compliant. Because if you don't want to get onto site and the builders are installing these stairs with the floors at some stages already built, and you go, right, I need to get from ground floor here to first floor here, and then you get there and you haven't got enough room.
You got too much tread, or you're going past the doorway. Yeah, absolutely.
How do you fix that? Like
cutting holes. Yeah. So yeah, and so you've got the certification plans. There's the window schedule that we chuck on there as well. We have the basics report that also makes it on there. I think our construction certificate plan set is roughly about 25 to 30 pages. I think it is. I think they have been quite big, and we also show our pad heights, the cut heights. All of the dimensions, like the dimension, all the time. We also have to show the landscaping space and whether or not you're compliant with the landscaping space, and the floor to space ratio as well is super important that we show on there. We've got, I know we offer builders data, so we show all of the lineal meters of all the products that they kind of need, and we also give a build exact scaled elevation that they can take their numbers off. They can punch, builders can punch their details in there.
All the areas and things as well. So each room's broken down into the square meterage, the perimeter, things like that. The flooring selections as well. So the builders, they've got their square meterage. They know how much carpet's going in. They know. From that you can have a look at how much paint's going to need for the rooms. Like you've got the perimeters, you've got the areas. At the end of the day, like as draftees and designers, we want to make the construction and the certification plans as fruitful as possible. We want to make sure that every trade who's using those plans can go, this has been well thought out of, this has been well thought. They're not going to have any nasties that are unexpected because they either the detail wasn't drawn in the first place, or worse, the detail wasn't thought about to begin with. So the more detail that we can put down the plans, the better, because the guys out there on site, the more we can help them, the better result that the clients are going to get at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and I think the way MT Design has taken that portion on this year in particular, we've moved the concept space. We talk a lot about the concept space, but something that we haven't spoken a lot about is our pre-submission, our certification meetings as well. So it's almost to make it clearer for the builders and make it clearer for the trades and things like that. We get the clients in and we talk to them about external taps. We talk to them about where they want their AC units. So we want to make sure that all of the services and all of the bits and pieces, window openings, all the directions of all the things that need to be put in there, we make sure it's clear, and we make sure it's clear on the plans. And while our plans are for the clients, initially they are ultimately for the builder and all the trades to follow from that. So it's incredibly important to make sure all the way back at the start of your quote, you want to make sure that those CC plans have been thought about or even priced up, because if they're not and you don't know about it, because it's a 30-page document, it's going to be expensive if it's not thought about. And the worst case scenario is if a client goes to a designer or whoever they go to get their plans done, and the CC's not been included in their plan set, and then they get this huge bill to do these CC plans, and then they're going to have this horrible taste in their mouth and say, well, I don't want to get those plans done by that designer anymore.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me about it when you quoted me in the first place?
Exactly. And then what do? They have to come and see another team like ourselves and say, hey, we want our CC plans drawn, and unfortunately we have to charge to redraw those plans, and then that's a cost. And then once those plans are redrawn, then we have to go through the whole plan set of DA and CC.
We can't just draw CC plans. You've got to go through, if it's a renovation, you've got to go back and redraw the concepts, the pre-submission plans, and then finally get to the last stage, which is certification plan. And it's unfortunate that sometimes that's not clearly identified in the first place, because usually at that stage you've spent so much money, and then the certification plans, while it was you didn't know about it, the price will probably be still cheaper than to get someone else to do the entire set, including the construction plans again.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part about the communication as well. But we touched on it last week. The communication between the builder, the designer, the certifiers, the planners is all important. You've got to make sure that you've got a good team behind that plan development, and I guess your pathway to approval, because if anything kind of falls or if anything's not kind of clear, it all comes falling down. It's like a house of cards. Like one thing falls, everything falls, and then everything starts to slow up, and then you're kind of chasing your tail, you're kind of backtracking. And I know as a team that does project management, once that one of those cards fall, we're calling around, we're touching base on plan B or plan C. Sometimes, we're calling people that we haven't discussed to do work with before, and we've got to try and find an answer. So it's incredibly important to make sure that team is available from day one, and to ascertain their timeframes, their costs, and their availability. It's huge, and I guess over the period of that phase 1 to phase 4, they're looking at a 6 to 8 month, depending on the side of the job, obviously, but they're looking at a 6 to 8 month period there where we're getting to know them in and out, probably making a good personal relationship with them as well as a good business relationship. We want to make sure at the end of the process that all the hard work that the client and we have put in to try and make sure that everything's done right, that it's going to get looked after us. And that's why we have those really good relationships with the builders that we do, because the guys that we use, they take care of the client. And I guess that moves us into the quotes that aren't ours and the things that we can't take control of, and they're the quotes for the outside consultants, which are the engineers, the fire guys, the flood guys, all the guys that aren't part of our team. We can't control their costs, but we definitely try and make sure that we get the best price for the client. But then there's the builder's quotes, and the builder's quotes. It's where things get real sticky. If you don't have a good builder, if you don't have a builder that looks after you like they should, things can go belly up straight away. How many times have we heard it over the last 5 years?
Well, I was only talking to someone, a client this morning. They've gone through the process, about to go through to the DA stage, and that they called saying, "Oh, look, I want a bit of advice about the prices that things are coming back as, what has been included, what hasn't been included," and it's really important that those things are clearly identified, because you want to know what your inclusions are. You want to know what any provisional allowances are. You want to know, basically at that stage, if you go ahead with the project, what unforeseen costs or even foreseen costs can be expected that aren't in that initial tender or anything like that.
The dirtiest word in building at the moment is the costs. Variations. What's a variation? Anything that's not on that quote. If it's not on that quote, it's a variation, and you can expect whatever that cost is plus whatever they're putting on as a margin. It's incredibly important to take the plans that we have to any builder, whether it's ours or anyone's. They want to make sure that your slab's down. How much is your slab's going to cost? Piers. What are your piers? If there's any screw piers, is engineering included? Cladding or brick? What kind of cladding? What kind of brick? How much of the brick? What color roof? What type of roof? It's incredibly important, particularly when they're doing those contracts with the builders, to make sure that they're going through everything meticulously to try and find out whether or not each of their products are in there. Door handles, taps, everything. You don't want to have any stone unturned, because if there is something that's not on there and hasn't been clearly identified on that quote, then it's a vary, and it costs so much. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, because it's happened to myself. It's happened to a few people that we've worked with, actually. Builders come in, you've trusted them, they've given you a very light on quote, but they say, "Hey, trust me, I'm looking after you," and then all of a sudden, you get halfway through the build, and then they're slapping you with varies, or they're adding extra costs, or all of a sudden they've got their hand out asking for more money. We've got one client at the moment who is going through a build, and that poor client's been so clearly underquoted, and you know it very well. Like, we've worked very hard with this client to give them the best result, but we know that this quote is so undercooked that he's going to get hit with a vary, and I guess that hasn't been considered, like all the engineering and all the things like that. And once he gets this quote, hands down, it's going to be so light on. It's not going to have the things he needs.
Yeah, I'd almost be recommending everyone at least get two opinions for these things, because if you get two builders to quote the same job, and one's at 400, the other one's at 1.2, there's something's amiss. Either one's really expensive or one's really cheap. But if you get two quotes and they both come back at about 800, yeah, okay, well, I know this is going to be a good figure. It's something that I can rely on. But you definitely, for pricing and really understanding and making sure that the contracts are then in place, or the quotes then in place to follow up what that figure is, super important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you say two, I'd almost say three, maybe even four, because once you find out the average, one's always going to be cheaper than the other every day of the week. One's always going to be super cheap. But I can guarantee you look at the person who is incredibly expensive, and then you look at the person that's incredibly cheap, and then you compare the two, they're either going to have a really, really incredibly detailed report and quote that takes some time. There's builders out there now that it's going to be common process now for builders to start charging for quotes, because it takes them forever. It takes them a week or two, but it gives that opportunity for them to at least get paid for their time, which they need to be. That's a 2-week report, right? And it's once they get that report or that costing done, at least you know that the time and effort and I guess the care has been put into that quote, opposed to somebody who's just going to slap you with something that's half the price and got nothing on it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to pay for it. There's one thing that I've learned from my experience is that, a poor man will always pay twice. I will forever now pay attention to everything that gets given to me as part of a contract, friend or not. It's something that I will be paying attention to. So it's definitely something that I'm passionate about, and I firmly recommend any client of ours or anybody to go and get a second, third, fourth opinion on any quote, whether it's ours or somebody else's. It has to be done. Let's compare apples with apples. Let's put it all on the table. Let's find out what we offer, what other people offer, and let's do that. We've as the industry is at the moment, I think it's incredibly important that people start talking to each other and at least establishing the fact that there are differences. People probably will be more expensive, and at the end of the day, if they're more expensive, they're probably more expensive for a good reason.
Well, yeah. Well, you want to find out why. Like, if the prices are so different, you want to find out why. Is it because someone is an expert in this particular type of build? They do it all the time. They know accurately what the costs are going to be in the forefront at the beginning. If someone's done a really complex build and they're used to doing it's a small extensions, and next thing you know, you're doing you're digging out basements, you're extending, over a cliff, anything like this. You're going up 2-3 stories. Builders, you want to make sure that the person that you're going with is equipped to deal with it, and they know what the costs are going to be as early as possible.
Look, you've got builders who do the renos or the small time decks, which is totally cool, and then you've got the builders who do, the 3-story $1 million mansions out in the middle of Merriweather or something like that. It's like everybody has got their niche, everybody's got the place that they love, and that's fine. Everybody can do that, but let's connect those people, and I think that's the part of what we do well, is connect those people with the people that can do those jobs for them as they need to.
Yeah, you got to find the right builder for the right job. Like, not one builder won't do every job, and
that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay. And a builder is somebody that they're going to know and spend a lot of money with over a year. So it's a relationship, and you got to, I'm a firm believer in you got to get along. You got to get along with the person who you're giving money to, because it's just going to go haywire if that connection's not right at the first. If you don't get along, if you don't have that respect established early on, it's just gonna go belly up real fast. All right, guys, passionate episode today. Thanks for joining us tonight. Any questions, please feel free to reach out, send us an email, hit us up on the link, or subscribe. Soon we'll have a builder on to chat about all of that kind of stuff, and we'll break it all down. Feel free to again ask the questions, and we'll make sure we'll hit the builders up with that one when they come out. Thanks again. Have a good night.